I broke 19 bones by the age of 16 years old. I grew up racing dirt bikes. I broke 19 bones. And what happened was I raced dirt bikes growing up and almost became pro. And right when 2008 hit, everything changed. So my family ended up going bankrupt. I ended up walking in on my dad with another woman. And it led to almost both of them committing suicide, all the way up to the day where I didn't talk to my dad after we went bankrupt for almost 2 years. And I picked up the phone and we talked, and he was screaming about how mad he was about what had happened with the family. And I was texted a video later that day, and I saw him holding a gun to his head in that video, about to take his own life while he was talking on the phone with me. And that changed my life forever. I wish I responded with strength, but I didn't. I responded with just torturous anxiety for years. And I ended up, being basically tied to a psychologist, psychiatrist for, years. Just battling with these demons in my head about why did everything happen? Blaming myself, blaming my family, blaming everything around me, right? And I remember this one day I was with my psychologist and I had this realization. We were just rehashing everything that had happened in the past, and I got really fed up. And one day I was like, I'm done rehashing what happened in the past. I'm ready to design myself. I'm ready to design my identity. I picked up this book called Think and Grow Rich, and the book completely changed my life. How many of you have heard of the book Think and Grow Rich? Press the space bar in and say, I heard of it.
I heard of it. I heard of it.
So I learned of the power of autosuggestion, right? And I started writing down my goals every single day. And by the way, if you guys don't believe me, okay, you can go to Bill Hauser Biz right now on Instagram. I woke up at 4:10 a.m. this morning. I've already written down all my goals. I've already exercised. I've already written down 5 of my gratitudes. I've already written down my purpose statement. I've already recited my major definite purpose statement out loud. It's all on camera on my Instagram at Bill Hauser Biz, okay? So I've been following this habit for over 6 years now. So I learned how to replace my anxious thoughts with commitments. I learned how to replace my anxious thoughts with what?
Commitment.
And although not all of you are struggling with torturous anxiety disorder like I was, we all have anxious thoughts. True or false? Can I get a raise of hands that you're human and you have anxious thoughts sometimes, okay? We're all human, guys. And actually, success is about crushing your anxious thoughts as much as it is about marrying yourself to more productive commitments. So in this process of extreme failure, I started learning about autosuggestion. So then after all this happened, okay, I'm going to go over here. After all this happened, I started going through a process of a rebuild, okay? And I realized that once I was at 0, okay, the bankruptcy, the anxiety, all the negative thoughts, right? I started learning, okay, how do I do the opposite here? And I decided when I started SMB team at 26 years old, 4 years ago, I decided that I was going to follow a completely different model, and I was going to set a goal that I would get criticized for. What word did I just use? What? Hello?
Criticize.
Okay, if you're not getting criticized for your goals, my friends, they're not big enough. They're not public enough. So I set a goal, okay, as a little 26-year-old maniac that I was going to do $256 million per year by the end of 2026 with no business experience, a bankrupt family, no money in the bank, right? So I reverse engineered it. And I actually put a 10-year plan on paper, right? And in an Excel spreadsheet, I put a 10-year plan of what each year's revenues would be, right? And looking back, I discovered that there was 4 growth phases that transformed our business to the over $10 million mark in 4 years. How many of you, by the way, let me just get a throw of hands to see how many of you are actually wanting this. How many of you would like to add, I don't know, another at least $1 million in profit to your business in the future?
You would. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have to go through this, guys. I have tons of other stuff I can go through. So press the space bar and say yes, or I can transition to something else.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Of course.
All right. So the first year is always the Rainmaker year. Okay? Year number 1 is always the Rainmaker year. Right? Now, most attorneys, statistically, according to IBIS World, they stop here. They get to that 400K mark, right, where everything's comfortable. It's pretty much a solo practice with some helpers. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Raise a hands real quick. Solo practice with helpers, right? Most people never go past this phase. The next phase is the demand phase. Okay? The Rainmaker phase is dependent on relationships, right? Meaning you got a good little word of mouth locally, people know about you, have a little bit of a reputation, and that's what runs your firm. The second phase, okay, so this is where you get to 400K, right? The demand phase is where you can go to 1.5 million in 1 year if you're at 400K, okay? And this is where you learned about how to get in front of people while they're searching for you. So we call this dominating one keyword, right? Dominate one keyword in your market locally. That's the demand phase. Okay, this added another $1 million onto our business. And it's also, I've seen this happen with multiple law firms now, since we've now doubled 31 of them, not 24. Okay, then we go to the awareness phase. Okay, and the awareness phase is what can take you to $4 million. Okay, think about all the law firms in your market that don't worry about leads. They've all figured out awareness-based marketing, which Andy's going to teach you today. And then last but not least, this is the management phase. And this is how you get the 10 million, okay? So you start out relationship-based, you learn how to get leads through them demanding you, then you transition to the awareness phase, and then finally you learn how to actually manage and scale a team, right? So in this story of going from 0, bankrupt, anxious, 19 broken bones, okay, had no experience in my family of anyone succeeding in business, to now we're doing over 20 million we will exceed this year and almost 50 full-time employees. I'm telling you it's possible. But again, if you don't believe it's possible, you're not going to execute what we teach you today. So let's go right into exactly what you need to do in order to roll this out. So when I hit the demand year, okay, what happened was I hit a ceiling of complexity. I hit the limit of how many people on Google were searching for my business, right? So we were targeting the keyword law firm PPC. That was the keyword we targeted nationally, right? But we ran out of demand. There wasn't enough people typing in law firm PPC, so we had to move on to the awareness category. So I didn't know anything about YouTube ads, Facebook ads. I knew nothing about this stuff, right? So who did I find that taught me about Facebook ads? Who wants to take a guess?
Andy, maybe?
Yep. Reached out to Andy Stickle because I hit a ceiling of complexity, right? I hit a ceiling of complexity, and I didn't know how to do it. So I found someone who knew how to do it. Andy was spending $60,000 a month on Facebook ads when I met him, right? I was like, dude, I need to learn from you. So I asked, hey, can I meet with you every week, right? I'll show you how we're doing stuff in our business. You show me how you do Facebook ads. And he agreed. And we met every single week. And now that's turned into a partnership, right? That's how far we took that relationship. And then last but not least, when we hit the $4 million mark, my head was spinning off. And I was like, how do we manage a team without it being complex, without all my free time being sucked away, right? And then that's where I found Cameron Herold, who's the former chief operating officer of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, who's now our personal coach in our business, who scaled 1-800-GOT-JUNK to $106 million in 5 years, okay, and has hired over 3,000 people. So he taught us how to build a leadership team and an organizational chart and employee scorecards and how to set KPIs the right way and how to truly delegate authority rather than delegate tasks, all that good stuff. All right? So I want to explain to you a couple lessons from this story. Every single year I hit a break point as we scaled our business. Every phase, I hit a ceiling of complexity. Can everyone press the space bar in and say ceiling of complexity?
Ceiling of complexity.
Okay. The second lesson was when I hit a ceiling of complexity, I found a new mentor. In this case, it was Andy. In this case, it was Cameron. Right? So I found a new mentor to break through that ceiling of complexity. I didn't think I had all the answers. I knew someone else did. Okay? The next story was it only took one strategy per year to reach the next level. It didn't take 1,000 strategies, okay? It didn't take 4,000 seminars like this. It took one strategy fully executed. Okay? But most importantly, okay, it taught me the management framework, which now has transformed hundreds of law firms across the United States. And I'm about to break this down for you in a very tactical way that you've never seen before.